All right, this is the big day to work and get everything completed on your robot face project. So the first thing I need you to do is get this pink rubric out, and I want to run through a few things and just basically show you that it doesn't have to be super fancy to hit all of the criteria. Okay, so pause the video if you need to, but here is what I need you to see for this rubric. Frankly, because we got to add a couple of things here. All right. When I had you fill out your sheet where I had you handwrite the criteria down, and then I said, all right, now you go ahead and sketch it. Okay, that actually will get handed in today, so that that counts as part of your score. So take a look here. First thing I want you to do is put your name here and what hour it is, and A day, B day. Then I will mark and circle this, but I want you, as you go through things, if you've got it, check it off. Okay, we'll go from here. Now, a couple of things I want you to add. So background color, rectangles, 2 or more. I made a quick robot face here that actually captures every criteria. So this, and I should have probably turned the grid off to get that picture here, but the big green thing is a rectangle, and so is the nose right there. So I've got that. My eyes take care of the ellipses. Lines, those are my 2 antennae, there and there. An arc or a point, I used this smile there for the mouth as the arc. I've got 2 different colors. I've got white for the eyes and green for its face. And then I had the background color. The no fill, if you take a look at the nose is actually doesn't have a fill on there. Okay, and I'll show you the programming in a moment. Stroke, now here's where I need you to add something, so grab your pencil. Stroke color, no stroke, or you could have had stroke weight. So will you write on there weight? Because that's actually what I did in this one. I upped the weight of these lines, and then it ended up also increasing the border for the eyes, the nose, and then that mouth, which is an arc. All right, now variable and random number you can't see. So let's dive in to the code. Oh, and one last thing, sorry. Also add in here 1 point for your sketch, which is that page. So really it's going to be out of 15 points instead of 14. So please update that along with weight. And as you go through your project, put check marks at the end here, okay? Now, let's quick go in and take a look at what I used for code. They have in here 4 different shape blocks, 4 variables. No. I didn't want that. So you just pay attention to what I put on the rubric, okay? Now, since I took that picture, I added a couple of points, okay? And I used those as like the pupils of my eyes, all right? And then the last part is I had to add a variable. And what I told you the last time I saw you when you were starting this is if it's hard for you to figure out what to use for a variable, go ahead and go back to when we were doing random numbers, and random numbers for, or not random numbers, sorry, it was lesson number 5. Let me get there just so you remember. Lesson 5 was all about variables. Okay, and here is concussion man, I call him. Okay. Now, when this thing started, oh, this is a mess. I think I'm going to use someone else's just so I get this correct. Okay. On this one, they set up a variable called eye size. All right. And then they used it in 2 spots. They used it for the width and the height on each of the eyes. That way, if you wanted to then go ahead and change the size of the eyes, you could control it from one spot up here in line 2. So I did the same thing. What I did is I set up a variable called I. I like my variables short. Okay. Down here on lines 9 and 10 for my ellipse, I used it I for width and height, and again for width and height. Now, I'm also incorporating random number. So this would be a great way for you to do that. Random number for the variable I, and I said, let's say between 20 and 50. And then watch what happens every time I run it. The size of the eyes change. Sometimes they're little, sometimes they're wide, okay? And it just uses that random number. So, variable and random number. Very simple looking robot, but I managed to hit all of the criteria. Now, you, by all means, go ahead and get super fancy in here. Okay, I'm not expecting anything like some of the demo ones that they created, like some of these, where every time you run it, they've got colors changing, the eyes are changing. That's a cool one. This one, and I'll try to make this one a little bigger so we can see it. You can see that went crazy with variables and random numbers. Oh, this is like the Star Wars guy that I thought it looked like. Notice the main shape is an octagon on this one, and then they've got a lot of color changing with random numbers. That's a cool use of random number. The third one, I gotta remember if this is the triangle. Yeah. Okay, again, every time you run it, notice that the main color and then these little pentagon eyes are changing color. Okay, along with the size of the mouth. That's kind of cool as well. All right, and this last one, on this one they decided to, oofta, this is quite the thing. All right, so it's a square with some triangles on its head and coming out its side. Here are these like arc-shaped ears, and then their antenna, they're using some arcs with no fill as well. Like I said, these get kind of fancy. You can go as crazy as you want, but you can hit the basics just by doing something as simple as what I had. Okay? Absolutely fabulous. So, use the rubric as your guide. See what you come up with. All right? Get your rectangles, get ellipses, 2 lines, some other kind of no fill for some kind of shape. Use a stroke property like I did, stroke weight. I could have even gotten fancier and added more color and things on here and some more arcs, but this is the bare minimum that'll do the trick and get you full points. Again, look at the rubric. When you have it all done, you are going to go ahead and hit finish here, and then it'll probably, yep, I'll see that because it'll color it in, and then turn in your rubric and turn in your sketch. Okay, try to keep those two together, and then we can get them graded. Next time we get to move on to sprites. So have some fun, and I'll be excited to see your projects.